lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring, ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise.
Thank you for tuning in to the NAACP Forum. We are Brockton's choice for civil rights news. I'm Bishop Tony Branch, your host this evening. I want to first say Happy New Year's and blessings to the city of Brockton. So much has transpired since last year, but we've come in and we've come in strong. I have today that I'm going to be interviewing. Now, he's very modest, but he actually is one of the most powerful African Americans in the Commonwealth. He's the executive director of the Brockton Redevelopment Authority. Robert Jenkins, welcome to the NAACP Forum.
Thank you.
Familiar to Brockton, familiar to Brockton.
Yes, thank you for having me.
How was your New Year's coming in?
New Year's
Sorry
was
about
fantastic.
the Broadway table.
It's all right. New Year's was fantastic.
The holidays?
The holiday was great. The family's all good, Tony. So
Well,
it was nice. I had a nice. Spent too much money as usual, but that's all right.
So wait a minute. Now you said you spent too much money, but I don't see. There must be a gift out in the lobby for me.
Always.
Yo,
You didn't
wait.
get yours when you came in? You didn't
No,
get
I
it?
didn't. No, I didn't get
It's
it.
out there in the lobby
I didn't
for
get
you,
it.
waiting for you.
Listen, Director Jenkins, tell us. So you are the head of the Brockton Redevelopment Authority. You're here to talk about the 34th annual MLK breakfast, but people need to know who you are because you're doing some great work in the city. Who is Robert Jenkins?
Well, Robert Jenkins is the executive director of the Brockton Redevelopment Authority, as you know. I'm also a member of the NAACP, the chair of the Housing Committee.
Yep.
The Redevelopment Authority is very active in the city, in particularly the downtown district, the Urban Revitalization District. But we also offer services throughout the city: home buying counseling, first-time home buyer, homeowner repair. We also do receivership, vacant property receivership. So working with the AG's office. So we're really busy at the BRA. And this year is going to be a special year for Brockton. You know, we have a lot of things that are in the pipeline. As you can see.
Anything that you can let us know on the air?
All you got to do is walk downtown.
There you
Come
go, there you
downtown
go.
and you'll see a lot of things that are going on. A lot of new construction. We just finished the garage, the Mayor Carpenter
Was it named
garage.
after him?
Yes, we named it Mel.
Wonderful.
Mel Carpenter Garage, 415 spaces, on time, on budget. And, you know, we're looking to do a lot of things in the city. And
So
people are really interested in investing in the city of Brockton.
So let me just say, so the Brockton Redevelopment Authority, tell us a little bit about your staff.
Sure.
So you're an executive director. You have some
Correct.
directors under you.
I
You
do
have
have
a board. What do you have?
I have a 5-member board,
Oh,
4 of which are appointed by the mayor, 1 appointed by the governor.
okay,
All right, Phil Griffin is our chair.
okay.
Our staff, we have a director of compliance, Emily Hall. I have a director of lead paint abatement in the city of Brockton.
Okay.
Lead hazard control program in the city of Brockton.
Is there still a lead issue? 'Cause
Oh,
as a kid-
there's a huge
listen,
lead
As a kid, I
issue.
know that.
Yeah, there's a huge nationwide, but in a lot of times in a lot of our cities, especially the, how should I say, the cities, the medium-sized cities or
Yes,
the
sir.
large industrial cities, gateway cities.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we still have lead. There's
Can you do us a
lead.
favor? I hear a lot of people across the Commonwealth say gateway. What does gateway city mean?
Sure. Gateway cities are usually the cities that have the mills, the former industrial, light industrials. Like you have the, the Brocktons, the New Bedfords,
Yeah.
the Fall Rivers, the Springfields.
The former kind of manufacturing
Exactly.
communities that existed
Exactly.
years
And there's
ago.
32 of the gateway cities in the
Really?
Commonwealth. Yeah.
Does it give
So-
us a special status?
It does in some, especially when they do special funding.
Okay.
For cities of our size, of our ilk, we're 100,000 plus. We're very diverse. We have 3 commuter rails. We're very close to Boston. We're right on the cusp of Quincy. So we do get a little special treatment, acknowledgement from the governor. So they look.
He was here a lot during the Carpenter administration.
Oh yeah.
Is that fair to say?
That's very fair to say. We've always said that Lieutenant Governor Polito
Yes.
should have just bought a house.
I know. Actually,
right.
Cameron was here a lot. Actually,
All right.
I know that's true.
You know,
Yeah.
but that's a good thing for the city.
Right.
And it just shows that people are interested in what's going on in the city of Brockton.
You mentioned the commuter rail. We're going to talk about the MLK breakfast. Look, that commuter rail, are you for that sort of subway sort of ride where they're saying now they'll put a bunch more trains? on that particular line to make it like the orange line or the red line?
Here's the
Are you
thing: I would
proponent of
never,
that?
I would never think that it's going to be the orange or the red line because
Okay.
they have their issues.
Yes, yes.
But a more high-speed, more frequent rail system.
You're for that?
Oh, absolutely,
Wow.
absolutely. Only because the population is growing,
Right.
and people are being pushed out of the city. And to be quite honest, if you want economic development, you really do need to have a, how should I say, a grade A, top A transportation system.
Right.
The fact that we're close to 24, we're in the middle of Boston and Providence, which puts us in a real unique position. And 24 is right there, so.
So the theme coming into the MLK breakfast this year is the time is always right to do what is right, excuse me. Let me ask you something.
Sure.
How has Dr. King's philosophy, his writings, I'm sure, and you and I are of the age, how has Dr. King impacted your life? Is that okay for me to ask?
I think, of course it's okay to ask. I think it's significant. I probably wouldn't be here where I am today if it wasn't for Martin Luther King. And not just him, but those who followed him. My mother was a huge component of the civil rights movement, her and my father. My father only had a 4th grade education. My mother finished associate's degree in college, and she was a pharmacist. But they also came from the South. My father came from Arkansas.
Oh,
my mother came from Florida.
Oh, well, Arkansas, you really down home.
Yeah,
we're not taking anything from Florida, but
yeah,
ooh, you from
Arkansas.
down home, bro.
Yeah, you definitely. So they came up
Yeah,
here to work, and you know, it was a struggle.
Right.
But we didn't know it was a struggle.
Right.
But my parents taught me that you really do have to do the right thing, because here's the thing: we have a past in this country, not just in Massachusetts, but in this country.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Of prejudice, discrimination. It's a relic of our history, of our past, and we have to acknowledge it.
But is it? Wait a minute, Robert. But is it a comfortable conversation?
It's never comfortable.
Yeah, right.
It's never comfortable. But it's a conversation that we have to have.
Yeah.
Exactly. You know. So you asked me the question, how has he impacted me?
Yeah.
I would not be here. I wouldn't have gone to Northeastern University. He went to BU. That was part of because I could have went to FAM, but I chose to go to to NU, to Northeastern.
Right.
One, because my mother didn't want me to go all the way to Florida.
Yeah.
During that time,
Yeah.
and I'm not giving away my age. You still had issues.
Right.
You know, so she felt that to stay up north and to stay close by home. I'm from New Haven, Connecticut. Stay close. It's a 2.5-hour drive, 2-hour drive, hour and a half during my younger days.
Right.
But you know, it's very important. And the key here is for us is that we need to make sure that our kids understand. Because I can tell you now, I had a conversation with my son just this afternoon, 23 years old. Applied for a government job, post office. Woman said to him, you need to make sure you just stick with it. The people there are going to be tough. They're going to seem racist.
Right.
You know, they have things
Fair
against.
advice.
Absolutely. And she said some people there have issues with your ethnicity. She didn't want to say black. That's what he felt. But I said, yeah, you still. And he was taken back by the fact that still exists. He's a millennial.
Right.
He doesn't know.
You know what? And again, this is how we do it here on the show. But have we lost that conversation?
We have, because we haven't sat down and told our children.
Right.
We haven't told them the story.
Right.
And there's some good stories.
Right.
But
There's
we
a lot of
haven't.
oral history.
You know where we get our stories from these days? If it isn't TV, it's on our cell phones.
Right.
And
unfortunately.
we need to sit down and talk to our children. And this is what MLK Breakfast is about.
Right.
We sit down and we have a conversation.
So we're going on. Will be, it looks like our 34th annual breakfast. Will be had at the, where are we having?
Lombardo's.
At Lombardo's.
And Randolph.
And what time are we going to be over there?
9 to noon.
Listen to him. He's got it all down packed. My brother Miles is our director behind the scenes here. So let me tell us a little bit about what's that day going to look like.
It's going to be a fantastic morning.
Yes. You're emceeing.
I am the MC. I am the MC. So I'm bringing a little bit of excitement, but I'm bringing a little bit of knowledge, I hope.
Yes.
History. but I'm bringing a lot of joy, a lot of good, a lot of happiness. And this is a breakfast where we sit down. When I was growing up, the most important meal of the day was breakfast.
Right.
'Cause everybody had to get up and get out the house.
But we all sat at the table.
And we all sat at the table.
We all sat at the table.
We all sat at the table. So this is why this is important to me, and why I'm excited to be the MC. I'd like to see a lot of youth there because this is a time where we can talk about those situations that really they're not familiar with, but they're going to experience.
Right.
Whether we like it or not, this exists. This is part of America. It's part of our history. The fact that my son he was a little bit surprised that
you had to have that the conversation had
to go. He didn't think people like that existed. To be quite honest, I said, Reginald, people like that do exist. People like that. You're going to deal with people like that.
When you look at a theme of doing the right, do the right thing, what stands out? What is the right thing in this day and age? We have a president that's pretty vocal. We have some. And
sometimes you wonder whether he's doing the right thing or not.
Right. We have some individuals, our cousins. I call them my white cousins that really have some strong views in terms of race relations here in the country. So, what does doing the right thing look like?
You know what it is, Bishop, and I think everybody is born. You're born good and knowing right from wrong. You're born that way. But through life experiences or something happened, or even the people that you surround yourself with, you tend to make bad decisions and not do the right thing. But my mother always told me, my mother told you, always do the right thing. My father always told me, you do the wrong thing, there are consequences.
Correct, right.
Okay? You know right from wrong.
Right.
We're all instilled with right and wrong. We know even the most probably prejudiced, discriminatory individual knows right from wrong. You know, it's just their experience, people they're around, how they've grown up has a lot to do with it.
Right.
But to do the right thing is what's right in your heart. And it's funny because even those folks who, I know a lot of folks on the right, who are Christians, who are conservatives, but they know what the right thing is.
So to do what is right is based upon what's in your heart.
What's in your heart, and you know what's right and wrong.
Right. So why do you think? I mean, going into the role as being our MC this year. Why do you think we're in such a crutch around race relations in America?
Because we don't talk about it.
You said that earlier, but Robert, that's a hard conversation. No,
it is hard.
How do we begin the conversation?
Like you and I are doing right now, like we're going to do at the breakfast. How should I say this? You grow from being uncomfortable. Whether people realize it or not, just like you grow from failure, you grow from being uncomfortable. These are conversations that we should have had decades ago. This is something that should have been taught in our schools, but it's not.
Right.
Because it is uncomfortable.
Right.
And and we want to protect our children. As parents, we all want to protect our kids and keep them out of harm's way.
Now, so
but they're not always kids.
That's true. Who's our keynote speaker this year?
Keynote speaker is Reverend Houston. Reverend Houston.
Are we going to, as a part of the conversation, will he have Reverend Houston Creighton? Will he have this sort of a conversation around to do what is right? Is that what
I haven't had that conversation with him, but I do plan on it, and he and I will probably meet sometime next week, and I'm sure it's going to be a lovely conversation, and I'm sure he'll have some wisdom to instill on us folks.
Pastor Creighton will. Pastor Creighton will. He absolutely will.
And I'm looking forward to it, and I encourage you because it's going to sell out. I mean, I think
it's been so. Actually, last year I think we were overbooked. I know Phyllis is probably going to kill me for saying it on the air, but the MLK breakfast is very popular.
It's very popular. In this county, very popular.
Very popular. So
because you have to understand.
Get your tickets early.
Get your tickets early because you have to understand we are the Brockton area NAACP.
Yeah, I know people forget that though.
They do forget it, but because we're somewhat Brockton centric, and I think people realize it. As Brockton goes, so goes the South Shore.
Right.
But we need to make sure that if you want to get tickets, because we're not selling them at the door,
Right.
you really do have to
So
contact.
remember, so they're not, you listen to what the masters were selling me. So we're not going to be selling them at the door. You need to get them. I have them. Everybody knows my number, 617-755-3535. You can always email Phyllis. I'm sure Director
have them.
Jenkins we have tickets.
Tickets.
They're not going to be sold at the door. So please reach out to us. Please, 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 please. Very important. Tell us a little bit about the entertainment for the breakfast. If that's under
That's not under mine.
Oh, Phyllis didn't give you no
She didn't give me no list, a little cheating list
Yes.
or anything. She just said, Robert, just be there with your glowing smile, be cheery, introduce folks.
Yeah,
and I expect that a lot of folks, because I've been told and from people that this is the event that they wait for.
Right.
At the beginning of the year, every year.
Yeah, I was with Congressman Lynch at the mayor's inauguration, and he mentioned that. And oh, wait a minute, let me give Congressman Lynch also his kudos, because he may be in, I don't know, that might be a national security conversation he had with him. He may not be available, but he's going to send somebody. But to what you just said, he says that many of the political leadership wait. This is their annual,
right?
Yeah, show up.
Yeah.
If you don't show up, we're gonna know about it. So please show up.
It'll be noticeable if you're not
there.
there.
Very noticeable
if you're not
when
there.
politicians
aren't there.
do not show up at the MLK breakfast. Are you excited about emceeing?
I am.
Are you nervous?
Come on. You know what? I don't get nervous because I am. I'm not. I don't really get nervous, but once I get in front of people, but I know everybody that's going to be out there, so and everybody knows me. So it's like you say, I'm a pretty straight shooter.
Yeah.
I just want to.
We love you at the city council meetings. Just when you used to call them, we love it. It was like, oh, Brother Jenkins is going to get up there. He's going to just say what's on his mind, and you.
I do.
You absolutely do. That's why we love you.
You know, so it should be fun though.
Yeah.
It's going to be a fun event. I'll have some of my family there as well.
Okay.
know. My mother's birthday is that Friday, the 17th.
Ah, Mom, okay.
Mom will be 84,
Right.
but so she won't be able to come up.
Right,
but,
right,
you
right,
know,
right.
It'll be nice.
But we recognize our silver hairs, our silver.
We
queens.
did, yeah.
We recognize them. So that's going to be impressive to make sure that she's there. So let me just ask you: you chair housing,
Yes.
the housing committee for the NAACP.
Yes.
You are making sure that we're doing the right thing. Give us some of the examples of what's going on in that particular committee.
On that committee, we have Rob May, who's the city planner, who's on that committee. Cindy Pendergrass, who's also at Neighbor Works Housing Solutions, that's on that committee.
Powerhouse.
We have Zayas Andrade, who is the home and asset manager for the BRA, Brockton Redevelopment Authority. And then we also have some CAC members, and we also have some citizens from the residents. Angela, her husband Alex. I forget the gentleman who just.
That's fine. You're doing
but
good
we
work.
have, but we. Here's the thing. Some of the things that the good
Yeah.
news is that we're looking at talking about zoning in the city of Brockton. And some of our zoning is
Antiquated? Is it?
that's a nice way of putting it. Okay. And looking at doing and talking with Rob May. Here's the key for Brockton is that when these things come up to city council, your city council needs to hear from you.
Right.
And I worked in Dorchester and Mattapan, so there's very little apathy in Dudley Square or in Upham's Corner, where I did a lot of work with Dorchester Bay. Here in Brockton, you really do got to make people get out and let them know.
Why is that though? Why are we so?
Here's the thing. I think it is that in Brockton, because we are so diverse. And we really don't know. It's a good thing, but it has its pros and it has its cons.
Yeah.
And one of the cons is that we don't get out and we don't know our neighbors.
Right.
We've developed 3 houses down on the south side, over on Winthrop, Dover, and we've actually worked with the neighbors because these properties were vacant, pretty much vacant and abandoned.
Okay.
And we put them under receivership. We redeveloped them. The best thing we've ever done is talk to the neighbors next door who come out and says, oh, we're so happy that you came and did this, and who's moving in. And we make it a point that they're going to be first-time homebuyers and in their course. And even when we meet with them prior to closing, we tell them, your neighbors is Mrs. So-and-so and Mr. So-and-so. They've been here for 35, 40 years. They don't have any kids. Their house is to your right. This one's house to your
Wow.
left. You need to go and say hello.
Right.
You need to know who you are. These are going to be your neighbors, you know? And that's very important. So you get to know. So we kind of break that ice when we sell the first-time home buyers, break that ice and let people know this is your neighbor, this is your neighbor, just so that they can have that feeling of neighborhood, but also that people get to know each other.
You mentioned some time ago, it may have been a few months ago at one of the NAACP meetings about actually having a fair housing commission here in the city of Brockton.
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about that? I'm
Sure.
very familiar with the director in Boston. That thing has existed nearly 50 years.
Right.
But Brockton doesn't have one. Can you?
And I'm an advocate for it.
Yeah, I know. So that's what I want you to
we
talk-
need, only because the city of this size should have a civil rights division, separate, or it needs to be in the law department, but separate from the law department. Because of the fact that we have such a diverse population, we have a diverse housing stock,
Yes.
and it's growing. And people are, you know, human beings are human beings. We find ways to get around stuff.
Right.
And it's not doing the right things, as we're talking
talking
about
about
with the
it, right,
breakfast.
right.
This will also help people understand how you do the right thing and why you should do the right thing. Some people do it just out of ignorance. Some people just do it out of spite because they don't like you and they don't want to rent to you.
What would a fair housing commission look like? If Mayor Sullivan were to ask for your advice, what type of advice would you get? What would a commission look like? 3 members, 5 members? Would there be an executive director, subpoena power? What would one look like?
For me, one would have to look like similar to the one in Boston.
So subpoena power.
Subpoena power, where you have actually a attorney, an investigator. You'd have to have at least 2 investigators, and not necessarily a director, but a lead attorney. You know, because you can always go into Boston and get assistance, but it's funny because Brockton, for some reason, we're part of New Bedford's.
Right, MCAD.
Yeah,
I'm very familiar with that. Yeah.
So you need to kind of be, and they're very, like you said, in Boston, they're very active and very aggressive, and that's what you need. The one thing I've learned over my years is that usually it's just one case that you go when you do something for housing, and you have to make a statement that this won't be tolerated here.
And it sends a message.
It sends a message.
It sends a message.
It sends a message.
Let me ask you, so give us a little bit of update about you. So there's a new administration.
Yes.
Are you here to stay, or what's your future like?
I think my future is fine if
Good.
you talk to my chair.
Yeah.
I report to the board, not to the
So
city.
BRA doesn't like
We're
Boston
quasi.
reports to
We
the
don't.
mayor.
No, we
Oh
do
my
not.
God! So
No.
you're independent.
Yeah, we are independent.
You are
I
independent.
report to the board of directors.
So if he has a policy that he wants to implement, what does he do? Go before your board?
He goes
Does he
before
pick
the
up
board. He
the
calls
Director
Robert.
Jenkins?
This is what we're thinking of doing.
Yeah.
My job is keeping the city in compliance, but also keeping the mayor out of jail.
Right.
Okay.
Oh my!
That is my job in a nutshell. Is keeping the city in our federal funds. I mean, regulations. I mean, we could spend hours talking about the federal regs for community development,
Right.
block grant, home investment
Right.
partnership,
No, I know what you're
neighborhood
doing, yeah.
stabilization, and lead paint abatement, which is even more than CDBG, which I'm surprised, but yeah,
Right.
it's
Oh, wow,
heavy.
you have
It's
a-
heavy. It's a lot of
Many
it's
moving parts, my friend.
very bureaucratic.
Yeah.
It is. It's very bureaucratic. But
So, well, let me just ask. So, when you look at the work of Dr. King, I don't want to put you on the spot, but I have to ask this question because people have been talking about it for about a year. Is it time to have an MLK Boulevard in Brockton?
I'm gonna
mean,
say this. I think we have a Frederick Douglass Way.
Yes.
MLK Boulevard, the only one I know of, and is in Boston,
Right.
and that's MLK Boulevard. Brockton, it wouldn't hurt.
It wouldn't hurt.
I mean, we name streets all the time. We rename them all the time.
I'm just
Look at
saying,
yeah. So no, it would. But here's the thing.
Tell us. What's your thoughts?
Is there a reason to name another street? I know they want to put another statue of Marvin Hagler down near Petronelli. If that's what the city wants to do, that's fine. And it's not the city, it's the community that wants to do it.
Right.
If they want to have an MLK Boulevard, it's the community that's going to have to step up
Right.
and identify and say, we want MLK Boulevard. And
Gotcha.
where do you want it? It's not up for me, up to you.
Right.
I mean, I work here and I have a vested interest in the city of Brockton, but it's up to the community to step up and say, okay.
To say that this is something that is important. This
To
is
us,
something
right.
that we want to, this is something that we want to do.
Correct.
Okay, so your term is how many more years?
I got 2.5.
2.5 more years. So let me ask you, what does next year look like for the city of Brockton under your leadership?
Oh, next year is bright.
Oh, come on, Brockton.
Next year is bright.
Yep.
We have a number of pipeline developments that are going on downtown. I can see the population. And just this past summer, someone asked me, you see something different about the city, or they notice something different about the city? And I said, you know what it is? You see more professional people during the summer walking around the city.
Right.
When before you saw a lot of, a lot of homeless people with issues. But now you see a lot more professional people walking downtown. You see a lot more people that look like us walking downtown, going to City Hall.
All right, so we got a couple of more minutes left. Let's just say, so what are you wearing as the MC?
Oh, I'm dressed to the T.
Yeah, I know
I'm-
you're not
that.
You're not gonna give us any secrets.
No, I'm not.
Come on.
No,
Give
you
us a-
have to
wait,
come. You have
color
to
scheme,
come
color
and check it
scheme,
out.
Color scheme.
You got to
Really?
come and
Rob,
check
you're
it
not
out.
giving us anything?
I'm not giving. Come and check it out.
Alligator. Ooh, why is the table moving? Alligator shoes.
Come and check it out. Okay, you got to be there. You got to come and check it out.
Oh my goodness. MLK breakfast is going to be on
Saturday, January 18th, 2020, 9 to noon.
time.
9 to noon. 9 to noon. At Lomardo.
At Lombardo's.
In Randolph.
And is it going to be packed?
It's going to be standing room only.
Standing room only?
Standing room only,
And, and let me
And
just,
breakfast is going to be off the hook. From what
Well,
I
yeah,
understand, that we're having turkey sausages or chicken sausages, chicken sausages, fruit.
what happened to the pork?
Some people.
What-
You
what-
have
what-
bacon?
what-
We got bacon?
Well, what I know,
We got bacon?
You know what? Our people need to stop this turkey. Let's go back to Are we gonna have grits? No,
I
Robert-
wish.
wait,
I
Robert-
said, hold
wait,
it.
wait,
I
Robert Block.
am.
We're on
I
camera.
asked,
forgot.
yeah, we on camera.
We're family. We're family.
I
Robert,
asked
wait,
for grits and
we
biscuits,
can't
a little
can we get any
gravy.
grits? I mean, really?
Talk to Madam
I
President.
gotta talk to. We gotta talk to our queen and
Yes.
ask her.
What happened?
What's up with the grits? Come on now.
Yeah.
So, Robert, you're going to give us, you're going to lead us on this day. You're
Yes.
ready to do it. You're not going to tell us what you're wearing.
Nope, you gotta
That's going
come.
to be a surprise. But on a more serious note, tickets are still available.
Yes.
Reach
Not
out.
many. Not many.
Not many
but
tickets are available.
But if you call, you got to call and get them.
Okay.
They can call you, Tony. They can call me.
All right.
My number is 508-586-3887, extension 1. I sold my 30 tickets.
Oh, so you got Bishop was, as many of you guys know, I've been sick for a few weeks. But 617-755-3530. You know myself, everybody knows. Reach out to me on Facebook. I have tickets, so make sure you get tickets. You need to participate.
Absolutely.
And
bring your children. Bring the kids.
you know what? And spend a little bit. No, but there's a difference.
There is. Kids are having
$21. Let me tell you something. I've seen a few of you all at the Starbucks at the Westgate Mall spending a lot more money than that. So please, please, please bring your children.
Absolutely.
And give recognition to Dr. King, who was such an important part of all of our lives. His work impacted us all personally. You heard Robert Jenkinson's story. Some of you know my story. Let me tell you something. Come out. This one time. This happens once a year. Come on out. See the politicians that you voted for. And remember, there are a lot of people forgetting. This is a major election year. There's a lot of challenges, especially in the United States Senate here in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. So please come out and be a part of the 34th annual MLK breakfast under the leadership of our great president, Phyllis Ellis, going to be emceed by the Brockton Redevelopment Authority, Robert Jenkins. This is extraordinary work. And one of the things I noticed that Phyllis had put down, move forward. We're moving forward.
Absolutely.
And so the future is bright for the work that's being done by the NAACP. So, we need you all to come out. Robert Jenkins, final words.
Final words. I look forward to seeing you Saturday. I look forward to seeing everybody there Saturday. I really want to see a packed house. I
Yes.
really want people to say, oh, there's not enough room, or better yet, let them run out of food.
I'll run out of food.
Okay? All right.
We love you, brother. We
Excellent.
love you.
Thank
This
you.
has been the NAACP Forum. We are Brockton's choice for Civil Rights News. Good evening.